So in the NBA right now, it's around that mid-season time of year where it's the All-Star break, and what I'm going to be doing in today's video is giving you guys my mid-season awards, and I think if the season ended today, what I think the awards would look like, what the candidates would be for each award, and who would win each one. So just a quick clarification before I start here, these are not my predictions for the mid-season awards, but they're who I think should win them. There's a bit of a difference there. I think the NBA and myself will probably have a little bit of different opinions on some of the candidates here. So for today's video, I'm going to be giving you who I think should win the mid-season awards. With that being said, let's get into it. So starting off with the most improved player. For the midseason awards here, my three candidates are Christian Wood, Jeremy Grant, and Julius Randle. I mean, starting with Randle, he's basically improved his game in every single aspect of the game. I think of scoring, he's so much better in scoring in the post and shooting, and he's a much better playmaker right now, a much better defender, and he's improved a lot. But honestly, before this season, he was a pretty well-known player too, averaging anywhere around 16 to 20 points per game throughout the first few years of his career and last season. So I'm not going to give the most improved player award winner to him. So I have it between Jeremy Grant and Christian Wood, and I definitely would give it to Christian Wood, but he's missed some time this season, and now he's missed a few weeks with this injury for the Houston Rockets, and I'm going to give this one to Jeremy Grant. I think both of them have drastically improved, especially when it comes to scoring, but for Jeremy Grant, he's basically doubled his point total. Last season he was averaging 12 points per game. This season he's averaging 24, and I know he has a bigger opportunity with the Pistons here, but his efficiency has also gone up, and his shooting has gotten a lot better. We knew how good he was defensively before this season, but he's continued to be a very good defensive player as well, and overall, especially his offensive game has been the most improved in the league this season for me. Now, I do think that Christian Wood probably would win this award if it wasn't for his injury, but he's missed so much time, and before that, it was basically a toss-up between Christian Wood and Jeremy Grant, but because of how Wood's missed some time, I gotta go with Jeremy Grant. For the Sixth Man of the Year award, the three candidates here are going to be Jordan Clarkson, Chris Boucher, and Goran Dragic, and there's a clear winner here in my opinion, and it's definitely Jordan Clarkson. And the Jazz have been the best team in the league so far this season, and obviously it is because of their defense and Rudy Gobert and how they're led on offense by Donovan Mitchell, but Jordan Clarkson has been a huge part in this, and he's the only Sixth Man of the Year this year that is averaging 18 points per game, and he's doing it very efficiently as well, shooting around 37% from three, being a very good shooter and also a pretty good defender this season. I think he's definitely the Sixth Man of the Year. When it comes to Boucher, he's been a great role player for the Raptors, but not comparable to the impact that Jordan Clarkson's having with the Jazz. And then Goran Dragic has basically been playing like he always does. He's very good in the pick and roll, has a good floater, and is a pretty good playmaker. And he's averaging around 15 points and 5 assists this season, but in terms of Sixth Man of the Year this season, I definitely think it should go to Clarkson. So for the Coach of the Year, the three candidates here are Quinn Snyder, Doc Rivers, the two coaches of the top teams in each conference, the Jazz and the Sixers, and then also Tom Thibodeau, the coach of the Knicks this season, and I really heavily considered putting Tom Thibodeau as the winner here. He's done a great job with the Knicks this season and their defense, and he's really turned them into one of the best defensive teams in the league, and we got to give him credit because a lot of fans around the league this season had the Knicks in the last place position in the Eastern Conference, and look at them now. They're in a playoff spot, and a lot of that has to do with Tibbs. But in terms of the winner here, I gotta go with Quinn Snyder, and it's because of how unexpected this huge surge from the Jazz has been and how they've kept it sustainable throughout the year, are still the best team in the league, and it's really not that close in terms of record. They have a top 5 offense and top 5 defense in my opinion, along with great three-point shooting, but I think a lot of this, especially their defensive system, starts with Snyder, and just how overall their offense flows so well. We got to give Quinn Snyder credit for this, and the fact that they're definitely the best team in the league right now, and it wasn't at all expected that they would be this good, and they have an amazing offensive and defensive system, makes me believe that Quinn Snyder should be the Coach of the Year. So now moving on to the Rookie of the Year, and I gotta be honest, the rookie class this season has been a little bit disappointing so far. I think a lot of these guys have bright futures in the NBA, but so far for their rookie season, no one's really emerged as a star player yet, but there's one guy that stands out. And in terms of the three candidates, we've got LaMelo Ball, Tyrese Halliburton, and Anthony Edwards. All of them are pretty much being role players at this point, at the start of their careers, but for the winner for this one, we gotta give it to LaMelo. And listen, I think LaMelo's a little bit overrated. His playmaking is obviously amazing, but his scoring is okay, but it's really not that efficient yet, and his defense is really not that good, and I don't understand how people see him as maybe better than his brother Lonzo yet. I still think Lonzo is a little bit better, mostly because of defense, but getting back to the topic here, for Rookie of the Year, it's gotta go to LaMelo. I think Tyrese Halliburton has a really good chance of winning it too, but it's gotta go to LaMelo just because of how over the recent days he's been scoring pretty well, and he's looking like he's having improvements in his game, and he's actually been a big reason of why the Charlotte Hornets are doing pretty well this season and are in contention for a playoff spot. So we gotta give him credit for that, and so far for this season, it looks like LaMelo is gonna win that. So now we got the Defensive Player of the Year race, and the three candidates here, I've got Rudy Gobert, and then two Philadelphia 76ers, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. And I think a lot of people would agree with me on the Rudy Gobert and Ben Simmons, but I think a lot of people would have Miles Turner here in the last spot instead of a guy like Joel. And I considered him. I also considered a guy like Giannis, and Anthony Davis would be here too if it wasn't for his injury. But when it comes to Miles Turner versus Joel defensively, I know Miles Turner is probably a favorite for Defensive Player of the Year this year, but I think his defense is just a little bit overrated. He's obviously one of the best, if not the best, rim protector in the league, and he's good at defending down low, but I think Joel's post defense is better, and I think Joel defends things like the pick and roll a lot better, and he's good at guarding point guards and other quick, fast guards that are driving to the basket, and he defends the pick and roll a lot better. I'm not a big fan of how Turner defends the pick and roll. Overall, when it comes to defense, these guys are very close, but I'm giving that last candidate spot to Joel. And I think the fact that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid have been so good defensively this season is a big reason for the Sixers' success and why their defensive system works. But in terms of the winner here for this award, we have to give it to Rudy Gobert, and it's for two reasons. First of all, his team's record, like I mentioned for the Quinn Snyder one as well. They're the best team in the league, and they have one of the best defenses in the league, and it's all because of Rudy Gobert. I mean, think about this. Playing against the Jazz is playing like 5-on-6 because Rudy Gobert has the impact of two players out there on the floor. When he's dropping in the pick and roll, he's so good at doing things like contesting mid-range shots, contesting floaters, and even just rim protecting and guarding down low. He's impossible to score on down low unless your name is Zion, Joel, or LeBron. And he's just such a good overall defender. His impact is incredible, and it's one of the main reasons, if not the main reason, why the Jazz are so good this season. He's my Defensive Player of the Year for this year, and it's really not that close. And last but not least, we've got the MVP award. The MVP race this season has been so interesting and is constantly changing, but right now at the mid-season point of the season, I think Joel Embiid and LeBron James are two locks for a candidate spot, and then for the last spot, it's between, for me, Kawhi Leonard, Nikola Jokic, and Steph Curry. All of them have been playing great. Kawhi the best defensively, and I think he's having a very underrated season this year, and I definitely think he's in the top 5 for MVP, which is a hot take, but like I said, I think he's having an underrated season. His shooting splits are insane, and he's leading his team to a good spot, but I'm going to give the last candidate spot here to Steph Curry because recently he's been playing incredible and he's averaging around 30 points. But in terms of who's going to win this, I think it's between LeBron James and Joel Embiid, and I mean, really, it just changes every week for me, but right now, I just have to give the slight edge to Joel Embiid. I think he's going to win the MVP this year as of right now, and there's a couple big reasons. First of all, he's averaging 30 points, as we know, 11 rebounds, he's dominating defensively, and as I mentioned, I think he's a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and he's also shooting 40% from 3 this season. Last season, he was basically a liability from 3. He shot less than 30%, and this season, he's taken that all the way up to 40%. He's basically become a lethal three-point shooter. Like I mentioned, his defense is incredible too, and just his overall impact is insane. And this is the stat that does it for me. With the Sixers, with Joel Embiid in the lineup this season, they are 23-7, and he has led them to the best seed in the Eastern Conference. But when he's out of the lineup, they're 1-5, and that's something that LeBron James hasn't done this year. Ever since Anthony Davis went out with an injury, he hasn't been able to lead his team to wins, and while he's still probably the best player in the league, is an incredible playmaker, overall scorer, and defender, I think Joel's impact this season has just been a little bit better. It's basically a coin toss between LeBron James James and Joel Embiid for MVP, and also guys like Curry and Kawhi and Jokic are in contention as well. I haven't even mentioned guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard, but when we break it down, it's between LeBron and Joel Embiid, and right now I'm giving the very, very slight edge to Joel Embiid to win the 2021 MVP. So there you have it. Those are my mid-season awards as of this point in the 2020-21 NBA season. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to comment down below your awards for right now at this point of the season and any changes that you would make to mine. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next video.